You are tuning into Engaging Walk. This week we will discuss the third part of our vision series, which is overcoming obstacles and staying motivated on the path to your goals. If you're new to the podcast, my name is Drake.
And my name is Rubie. We are passionate about building strong family connections.
We've seen how impactful a simple walk together can be. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast to stay up to date.
So let's keep our conversations going as we get into today's content.
Okay, so this week we did our engaging walk at the Lake Miramar Overlook, which is near Miramar in California, a little bit north of San Diego proper. And it was really a fun engaging walk. We took our dog Boba and we had some fun.
It's a beautiful lake. If you haven't checked it out, it's overlooking to the whole mile of walking, but it's really beautiful.
Okay, so let's get into today's content. So we're going to be talking about obstacles, overcoming them, and celebrating those successes along the way, which can go hand in hand. You know, your path to success isn't always going to be a straight line. And in fact, there's a really nice illustration that shows just how impactful ups and downs can be. That actually with ups and downs, if you've ever seen that illustration of like a ball that gets sent down a roller coaster with ups and downs, it actually gains momentum with those ups and downs as opposed to a ball that's traveling down a straight 45-degree incline. So that's always something to keep in mind is obstacles, adjustments are part of the journey. And we're going to be talking today about what that means for us, not just as individuals, but also as couples.
I love the illustrations that you gave to us. I usually have the pictures of the person going through like a destination, and then his thought is just like a straight up incline, but actually is go up and down and go through all kinds of conditions like desert, water, and then muddy area, and then go into the finish line. So I love that. The ball rolling, and it's true, is they gain more momentum as they go through up and downs. But yeah, love that. So let me ask you questions. What sort of obstacles can get in the way of your goals?
Well, we're going to be breaking them down into two different sections. We have obstacles that we create for ourselves, which is getting in our own way, which is probably actually the majority of our obstacles.
It's true.
And then we also have obstacles that life throws at us. So let's first start with the obstacles that we create for ourselves. We get in our own way. And there's a lot of thought about, why people do this, what sort of, mental images and mental faculties that we can play to limit ourselves and to put ourselves into a box and create almost like prisons for ourselves that we have to break out of. So that can come in a lot of different manifestations, but we're just going to talk about three right now, which is lack of discipline, not having a plan, and not adjusting to reality. Mm-hmm. So let's start off with lack of discipline. How has discipline, my wife is very disciplined.
I try.
How has creating discipline helped you, and what sorts of things have happened when you don't have discipline?
I think with discipline is make the plan is clear and easier. And I think I try when things that need to be done, especially my goal and my vision, I try not to put too much emotions on that, because when you got emotion and you allow you to, I'm not saying that feeling emotions or, be emotional is not good, but I'm trying to say that, okay, if, for example, if 6:00 you plan to go to the gym, you don't ask yourself, Rubie, how are you feeling today? Do you feel up to that? It's like, no, my brain was like, okay, this is the thing that we need to do. This is the goal. And, and if you listen to us for the previous two podcasts, we're talking about, if you are focus on that, you don't need a lot of motivation. And on top of that, the goal to help you achieve it. So fix your mind on, I would say I will fix my mind on my goals and my vision, what I want to get out of that, and get myself going instead of, just lay down in the bed and think about my emotion and the weather. That will discourage me to go,
Yeah. I think there's a lot of, especially athletes talk about this a lot, where they say, particularly boxers, fighters, they talk a lot about, like Mike Tyson had a really great saying that I got up at 5 or 4 o'clock in the morning to go running because I hate doing it, but the fact that I'm doing it makes me feel unstoppable, makes me feel like my opponent's not doing it, and that gives me a mental edge. He's very famous for talking about that.
Yeah.
And that discipline, that approach to your training when you're a fighter, has a lot of translation to real world applications. That person that gets up early to go to the office. And what was the show you were watching? Madam Secretary. Blake,
Yes.
Blake shows up at his, if you've ever seen the show, he wakes up super early,
Yeah.
does his hair, makes himself look impeccable, and then he shows up to his job early, reads his emails, and goes through all of his emails, so that by the time his day everyone else is showing up,
He's prepared. He's ready to go. He know exactly on his schedule what time all the appointments, and he on top of the game. And
he's like hours and hours ahead of everybody else, which is,
Yes.
I can speak to that because like my brain does not work until noon. So if I'm showing up at the job at like 9 o'clock, I stroll in, I get some coffee, I need to like sit down, read my emails, go about like how my plan's going to go for the day. But Blake has already done that at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
So with that level of discipline, he already is like seeing across the cliff, like that he can see things that people aren't seeing yet because like they're just hours and hours behind him, which in the workday is like quite a bit.
And I think it's not easy to go into that. It's a momentum. So don't feel discouraged when you hear people talk about that. Again, it must be starting point that's somewhere in their life, and they work on that and they don't stop. So having said that, sometimes I fall back into my old routines and my old habits. Like I'm kind of like dwell in my feeling, and then the moment I feel like that, I have to snap myself out of it and say, no, we don't do this. We have momentum going, and we keep going. Don't stop. Even, you feel bad, but keep going to push it. Just like the mindset, if you can if you can overcome who you are, your mindset, you're a champion, you're a winner, So I encourage you to just like where you're at and work toward that, and even give yourself grace to fall back a little bit, but then don't dwell on that, but continue to move forward. That's what we're trying to say.
Yeah, it also reminds me of Conor McGregor when he said like he lost one of his major fights because he had so much lack of discipline in his training, where he was like, I said no to training and I said yes to pizza or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. He's like, and all those no's and yeses accumulated to mental weakness. So that by the time the fight came, I was at a significant disadvantage. So that took a lot of courage, I think, for him to admit his mindset was his problem, and but then that shows that we're getting into the second topic, which is not having a plan, and then the third, which would be not adjusting to reality. And I think like that, his speaking to his lack of discipline also shows like he's tapped into reality, that he's not like making excuses. He's like, hey, look, this is what happened. Mm-hmm. I screwed it up.
Yeah.
That was what happened. It wasn't because, I tripped on a banana peel or whatever, but
yeah, he owned it.
Yeah. And, so that goes also to not having a plan. So, you can have all the discipline in the world, get up early, do all the things that you think that you have to do, but you have to know what you want to do. So creating that plan, just like how Blake was like, I'm going to get up, I'm going to, from Madam Secretary in the show, if you've never seen it, he gets up, he has a plan, clearly. He's like, I'm going to shower, get dressed, make sure my suit looks great, ironed.
Yeah.
Show up to work, do my emails, make sure I have my coffee, I have my breakfast, I have my energy. That's the plan, So having that plan, along with the discipline, is what you need. So...
Yeah, and then he not just have his breakfast. He also bring, Madam Secretary breakfast, and he prepare like her favorite breakfast and coffee. So he way on top of his game. But I also want to, like, as you share, give me a flashback with my discipline. Because I remember there was, I think 2 years ago, or longer than that, I don't remember. But I'm sure it's around 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I was struggling so much with my, discipline, and I said like, "Hey, I really want to work on this, but I have my motivations, I have my vision board down, I have my goals, but I still falling backward sometimes, like backsliding, and it take me it's really about my physical challenge. So, because I'm not very sporty and I'm very nerdy, how am I upcoming, and then so what I realized that I like, okay, so in terms of, if you look into the physical board, my my fitness is the worst one compared to the rest. And because the other part of my life, I learned how to discipline myself. Like I have no problem 30 straight hours, or keep going with studying, and mental discipline I'm great. But in terms of physical, I'm not that great. I'm gonna give up really fast. So that's my target of that year. Like if I can break my limitations on my physical, endurance, I can go another level into. It can help me into my mental strength. So that's what I did. I said like, Rubie, I'm gonna set you a small goal, just to go to the gym frequently 2 to 3 times a week. That's it. That's your goal. Drink water. That's it. That I don't care what you're doing, but I make sure that you go there 2 to 3 times a week. And so I made it as I progress, and then I did it. I've done that. Then I add to the next goal, like. And then I remember there was one time that as a gym, I was just like, okay, I'm making it. I'm doing 2 to 3 times a week. I'm killing it. But then I realized that my progress of my physical is not changing it much, because you know why? Because I was hanging out at the gym. I'm just like, okay, listen to podcast. I'm still working out, but I'm still like looking at the podcast, taking my time. So it's like, okay, so next challenge is that I don't have a lot of time. This is my crunch time. Let's go. Only 30 minutes, 45 minutes. That's it. You don't come here for like hanging out. You come here to work out. So again, I have another plan that, where I need to more discipline and then from that, I can tell like, going to the gym is no longer 2 to 3 times no longer a challenge. So what I'm trying to say is that as you challenge yourself and you create obstacle, make it more reality and practical to yourself, and your weakness, and just that is your point. That is your breaking point. So just aim for it, go for it, and break it, and then conquer it.
Yeah, that's exactly what my wife was doing there. Is she was adjusting to reality. She's like, hey, I'm spending this amount of time at the gym. I'm not getting the results that I thought that I would get. Why am I not getting those results? Well, because my time there isn't being as effective as I thought it could be. I'm, spending so much time on looking at the podcast, looking at this thing, and having that honest conversation with yourself to determine where you're going wrong, even though you're doing what you need to do, is part of the process. So another thing that she did that was really important, which we'll talk more about later, which was like celebrating the fact that, hey, I'm going. Mm-hmm. I got out of the house. I still did it, but let's make the most of the time that I'm out there. So all those things come into play about maintaining our focus on our goals, maintaining our groundedness in reality of like, how am I achieving my goals? What discipline do I have? Am I lacking? How's my plan coming together? And then always having that rooted in what's actually happening, as opposed to making, excuses for ourselves, and, all those sorts of things all come together to obstacles that we create for ourselves, and then getting in our own way, which is, though all those things are very easy to do. So like we were saying, the majority of the obstacles that are happening in our lives, we're doing to ourselves, which that's what separates people who achieve it and people who, I want that, but then it never happens. Newsflash, it's difficult. It's very difficult. So that's what we're called to do. That's what we want for ourselves, and that's how we're going to achieve it. But that's not all the things that can happen to us. Life also throws obstacles at us that we have to acknowledge and work around. I mean, those can come in the different forms of like family problems. I always feel like really, I don't know what's the word, like, not sorry, but like, I can understand like people who are like, hey, my mom is sick, my dad is sick, and then they spend so much time taking care of those people in their lives that like, they have very little time, maybe if any, to accomplish other things that they want for themselves.
Yeah.
So that's I for people that are going through those sorts of things, you know, it's I can understand how much of a challenge that can be.
Or financial burdens, and or emergency that life can throw at you, or even yourself get sick in a way, and you or injure that you cannot continue with your dreams and your visions, which is understandable. But again, being a powerful person, instead of load everything on your shoulders, you can just unload it and then wait, because I remember there's a crunch time for me. It's just being full-time students, and that means that I have no time, very limited time to like work on my personal fitness, and all I can do is just walk around the block, and then that's it, and I have to go back to my heavy duty student load of work. So and then I was stressed, but then my friend said like, Ruby, you need to be practical, you need to look into your time, and not that you neglect, but you cannot just focus on your physical way too much, like demanding on that, because you work out a lot when your brain and your body worked out when you study too, and just take a simple walk also make a big difference. So
Yeah.
sometimes we have to unload things unnecessary or is not at the right time, and wait for the right time to do it, especially when you have something like family problems, emergency, and even your body need to rest.
Yeah, so that's beautiful, because that gets right into the next section, which is how do we and it's very important that we ask ourselves this question, that how do we maintain our motivation and persevere through the obstacles and adversities on the path to our goals. So that is not an easy question to answer. It's going to be different for every situation, but again, we're always going to have obstacles that we create for ourselves, and then obstacles that life throws at us. Okay, so we work through those obstacles, but having the goal in mind throughout that is going to be what really, I think, makes or breaks how we achieve it. Because if we lose focus on the goal, or if we get sidetracked, go somewhere, we've lost our focus, we've already lost what we're trying to achieve. So having those small goals in mind, and making sure that we're on that path is going to be a great way to ensure that we're not getting sidetracked, that all of our effort is going in the right direction, that we're seeing the results that we want to see. So another thing that Rubie brought up, which is like really important, is this idea of like overextending and lack of focus. So this can be especially really easy for people to do if they're motivated people, if they're ambitious people, which is the majority of people that are going to be like hyper focused and trying to get after their goals and getting after the things that they want to see happen in their lives. And that can just be as simple as like, just like Rubie was saying, is like, I have all these efforts going into my academic goals, and I have effort that I'm making towards my physical and all these other goals. So, but like her example showed, is like, well, sometimes if you're so focused on one thing and that's like the priority, the other things you can't really neglect, but you can do simple things that will still allow you to maintain your focus, but without overall like degradation of like yourself. Mm-hmm. So that's that's a very like tricky balance of achieving all the things that you need in your life, but without getting tunnel vision and neglecting the other things that are going to be necessary.
Yeah, I think it's pretty like go related to the first two episodes that we did for the year, is that we have a vision board, and and then we have realistic goals for that vision, because especially those that perfectionist, they would try to do everything, which is it could be me, because I love to do loaded with so many things at the same time, and I think yes, I can power through it. No, I suffer a lot, and so yeah, I encourage you to just simple it down and not too many details. And if you, for me, if I can remember my goals and my steps on top of my head, then that is not too much. If I have to look back into my notes and so many details, that means that too many goals, I need to eliminate it. But yeah, be present, be realistic what you can take, because if let's say that you too focus on, for me, I was too focused on academic, and I have to learn. It was a hard time to learn to say no to hanging out with friends, doing things like going to the gym 2 or 3 times. That it's not able, because my brain was fried. I cannot focus on working out. My body was done. So yeah. So going back to that, you need to know your limit. You need to know what can I do, and also on top of that, we only have 24 hours and 8 hours for sleeping, so the rest is limited. So how much do you want your life look like in 2024? It's really up to you. And you can have sections out like fun, family time, personal time, friends time, and then career time, whatever that you want to do. Pack it in there and make sure that you have enough time for yourself.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think you just I hope you guys are feeling pumped up and motivated, because I think that's what we want to do with this. Is we're only 15 days into this new year, but I feel like, at least in our family, we've accomplished a lot, and I've been, we have been making more and more efforts to celebrate those small successes along the way, and just like we talked about in the first 2 episodes of having SMART goals, so just like Rubie was saying, you have those SMART goals. They're all small, achievable things that you can actually do. Once they get achieved and you have this amazing moment where you can cross it off the list, that feeling of success is going to carry on, and is going to get the ball moving and keep going forward and motivate you, and all of it comes together, and you're just yeah, I want that. I want more of it. So especially if you can make a big deal about achieving those small goals and achieving those small steps along the way, your brain is going to be hardwired now to hey, I like that. I like that feeling of accomplishing those goals. And if actually, this is a good thing that we should do, is recommend for people. So my wife and I both have iPhones, and then we have a shared note. And I showed this to a guy at work, and he was like, "Wow, that's amazing." He's like, you guys both see your to-do list, and then we also use it for grocery lists and other things that we need to do in our lives. So if you have an iPhone and you have those shared notes, share your notes with each other, so you can see wow, we did that. That's done. Oh wow, my husband did that. Good job, babe. I love you for doing that. Same thing with your wife. Your wife did that thing. You see it gets crossed out. Hey, good job. You really did it. That's amazing. And those small successes can keep building, because once our brains and we support each other through that, our brains are okay, yeah, okay, I can do it. This part's done. All I gotta do is this next part. It's it's also when you're building IKEA furniture. It's so daunting, when you take everything out of the box. You're oh man, everything's all over the place, I don't know what goes with what. But once you start building the frame, you're okay, well, I see where this goes. You start feeling way more motivated, and you can see where everything else is going to go. So don't it's really, really important to celebrate those small successes along the way.
Okay, honest moment. I mean, like we have been honest with each other and to you guys, but like another moment, vulnerable moment for me, I didn't grow up with celebrate small progress. For me, it's like, okay, first grade, the result is at the end of the finish. The first grade, like what kind of students are you? Back in the day, we have like excellent, good, not average, something like that. But now I think they just give you like ABC or something. Depends on the system. But I never have a habit of celebrating small progress, because what's the point for me? Like I used to think, what's the point? Because it's not the final one, just like you take the midterm test, it doesn't mean that you're going to pass the course, because it's still final test. But the truth is we accomplish a lot throughout the day, and if we don't have the like a habit of appreciating that, we will try to, like he said, like the dopamine in the brain will not release because we're not celebrating small progress. What I'm trying to say is that celebrating small progress, success, is a big progress in the journey.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, and because if I can say, like when I don't celebrate my effort throughout the day, I feel like that day I'm not accomplished anything. And because of that, the sense of achievement or fulfillment, I don't feel motivated to do it, keep doing that, Mm-hmm. And so celebrating small wins make me feel so much easier, and like I achieving it, I making a progress. I have a step forward to my goal, to my vision, and for psychologically, they said that research most show that like people become happier and more motivated to succeed if they feel proud of their work, which is small success. Yeah. And
definitely makes sense.
And because of that, the thing is that when you celebrate small wins, it brings you happiness and also positivity in life. And guess what? It brings down the trigger at work or the stress that you feel. And it's help you to balance stress out mm-hmm. more in life. So celebrate more wins, small wins. That will be the secret. And if you look into the cycle of your mental cycle, when you have an action and it leads into the result and you feel good about that, it you are more motivated to do more action, and more result will come out. So another way to say that, if you do something with your actions and lead it to result, but there's no celebration and you don't you don't put too much good emotions on that, then it will lead to less action and then fewer results.
Yeah, so I think that's a pretty good continuum. It's like, your action leads to a result. No celebration, you're not going to be feeling good. You juxtapose that to result, coming from the action, that leads to feeling good, which leads to more action, which leads to more result. And that is like a snowball, like just keeps accumulating as you go forward, and it keeps building and building and building. And you're like, okay, wow, 5 years ago, whatever your goal was, like you can be like, yep, I couldn't do that at all. Now I'm here. 6 months ago, I was at this point, and you can just continue and see the results speak for themselves. But the progress happens so slowly, in most cases, that you're not going to see it, and you're not going to see it, right? And if you're not going to celebrate it, you're most likely really not going to see it.
It's true.
So like all the things that Rubie was talking about, like really speak to, celebrating those things. And that is like what a coach does. A coach will see like what your end result will be, and then see your progress along the way, and then tell you like, a week ago you couldn't do, you were at 10 push-ups or whatever it was. Now you're at 15. Let's keep it moving. Let's get you at 20. And if we don't have someone coaching us along the way, then like we can be our own coach. As long as we're documenting what we're doing. Okay, yeah, I was at this point last week. This week I'm here. My goal is this. I'm really happy that I can do 5 extra of, whatever it is I'm trying to do, but I have that goal in mind and I have the progress that I've made.
And then if you are, your love languages, or so if you, let's say I achieved my goal for my fitness, go back into fitness. I'm so passionate about it. No, my love language is physical touch and then quality time. So I would using it for showing that with my husband, or not write myself a note, but quality time to journal it down. It's like, hey, Rubie, great job, you're doing this. Depends on what your love language is, and then how you want to reward yourself. It doesn't have to be always like financial, know. It can be anything. And then actually we on our website.
Pizza.
Well, it defeat my goal for the fitness. Good try. So we have a document or the PDF on our website, engagingwalk.com, and we create two files for you where it just notes down a letter of appreciation and then self-reflections. What have I done for maybe this week, this month? So it just celebrating a small progress in your journey, and we hope that you find it useful.
Yeah. So let's just wrap up this last section of our discussion for today. Of course, this is Engaging Walk podcast. Our focus is on couples. We got a lot of gentlemen out there listening, so I'll speak to the gentlemen in this section, which is as we accomplish our goals and as we move forward and grow, let's always make sure that we're growing together and not apart, which can be really easy to do, especially we're talking about this season of focus on your goals, focus on this. What we want to not do is not just focus on ourselves. So that seems like an oxymoron. It seems like it's it's self-contradicting, but it's not if you follow this trick. So, and I want Rubie also to talk about this because she's very passionate about this part, which is the trick is to not focus on ourselves per se. The trick is to focus on the progress of ourselves as being one within our relationship. So this can be, so what do I mean by this? This can be as simple as including your partner in your goals, including your partner in your progress, maybe bringing them along to the gym and or at the very least telling your partner, hey, these are the things that I'm doing. This is where I was at. One, it might motivate your partner to do what they want to do for themselves, but it also creates that unique oneness of the relationship of we're doing this not just for ourselves as individuals, but we're doing this for ourselves in our marriage and in our relationship, because it has multifaceted benefits. Not just for ourselves, but for us as one. So the healthier we are physically, the longer, ideally, we can live together and, be healthy, support ourselves financially. Financially we're doing pretty good. That's not just our own, finance, but our finances together. Mm-hmm. Spiritually, we're growing. We're reading the Bible. We're doing, marriage retreats. We're doing this things and that. That doesn't just help ourselves personally. That helps ourselves as a couple. Mm-hmm. Especially for ourselves as a married couple. And if you're going along in that journey where maybe you're just dating, and you're living separate lives, but with the goal of becoming one as a married couple, keep those things in mind. Include your partner in your day-to-day activities of hey babe, this is what I did today. I went to the gym. I saw my friend there. We did squats. We did some boxing. I feel like I'm getting a lot better at boxing. Oh, that's great. I love hearing about that. I love hearing about what you're doing to better yourself. And then that can create that connectedness that we're talking about.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. Again, back to communication. If we are the team. So if you win, I win. And if you're motivated, I am motivated too. And if you're powerful, that, you pour into the cup together. Pour into the bowl of togetherness is, powerful thing. So yeah, go ahead, you do you. And together we will become a better team and stronger team.
Yeah, and then always support each other through that. So, if you're showing like these results to your spouse, your wife, and you're like, yeah, baby, this is what I did. I've been working on this website. I've been working on this thing for our relationship, or for us, for my business, whatever it is. That just creates connectedness, and that creates like a mental framework of like what we are doing as a couple.
And also like you, by that action, you continually invite your partner into your life and say, hey, I want you to be part of this. I want you to be the first one to know about this. And it speaks so much. It speaks so much volume of like, I want a connection with you through the new things I'm doing. And it's allowed the other person, of course, we are married, but the fact is that he's still inviting me to his life. That speaks so much, for intimacy and connection and celebrating new things together and growing together. That's beautiful. That's marriage, that you put work into marriage, for connection.
Yeah, I recently had things going on at work where I had like so many career changes happening so quickly, and the people that are like in charge of me, they were like, okay, well this option, we're talking about the different options, and they were like, just make sure that you make the best decision. And I was like, well, me and my wife had already discussed all these options, and this is the way that we want to go. So I think that they were a little taken aback by that. They were surprised because I was like, we didn't just discuss like what is happening. We discussed all the things that can happen.
Yeah.
And laid it all out. So we were like, if this happens, we go this route. If this other thing happens, we can have another route that we can go. And we had made ourselves fully prepared for whatever options happen or whatever options we can take. But that took a lot of communication. That took a lot of like understanding like where we're coming from, and knowing what our different choices were in terms of like our career choices, because we as a married couple make these decisions together, and we don't always do it perfect, but we do make a great effort of including each other in all of the decision-making processes that we can do.
Yeah, for sure. And then because of you doing new things for the new year with the new you, or in the progress of getting stronger, healthier, and I think that's a beautiful journey for your partner get to be part of and get to see and celebrate with you. So I think that it just brings so much connections for the marriage couple, or even like people that are in relationship.
Mm-hmm. Okay, with that, we'll end with our assignment. So we do have that assignment that got posted today on engagingwalk.com. So if you visit engagingwalk.com, you will see under the blog section different posts that we have for each of the episodes, particularly surrounding this vision section. And we are going to be continuously going onto our blog section, updating it, and putting different ideas that we have from the from the podcast onto the website, so that for maybe some of you that want to read it, you can see maybe transcripts, maybe different topics, but written out more fully. And you can see all those ideas on the Engaging Walk website if you're like maybe at work and you're listening and you're like, I want to take a break and read a little bit of something that's not work. You have all those options available to you from Engaging Walk. So we highly encourage you guys to go onto the website, www.engagingwalk.com. Under the blog section, you can find today's episode. We have a vision post on there that you can update, and you can print that out, or you can Just take a mental note, write that down on your iPhone, write that down on your desk of all the accomplishments that you are proud of for this upcoming year.
And if you think this is helpful for you or somebody else, please don't forget to share and subscribe to our channel.
Okay, with that, we want to thank you guys for tuning in and making our podcast a part of your day. We hope that you can take our engaging walk and make it your own.
So stay tuned for the next week episode. We discuss about how to grow closer together. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and stay tuned to update.
My name is Drake.
And my name is Rubie from Engaging Walk, and we are signing out.